So Xavi Hernandez is going to be having a renewal with Barcelona until 2025. Joan Laporta and Deco and everybody in Barcelona are agreeing that Xavi Hernandez does deserve another season, meaning that this summer of 2024 is going to be so important because, again, he's going to be allowed another season and he's going to want to continue to construct his team to its maximum potential and to bring in brand new signings. It's going to be so important. Like that summer of 2024 is going to be the first time where Barcelona can say, yes, we have money to spend. Yes, we can invest a lot in our squad. A lot of sources have been stating that Joan Laporta is planning for a huge summer in 2024, and it's going to be huge for Xavi. It's going to be up to Deco and Xavi to decide what player they want to bring in, because Joan Laporta believes that Barcelona will be ready by that point. Yes, it has been very unfortunate for the club to not spend a lot in this summer, but we have done a decent job. We have brought in 4 to 5 new players. We only spent 6.8 million euros, and that's less than how much Barcelona B spent in the previous summer transfer window that we have just finished. They spent more than the first team. Isn't that crazy? And so Barcelona had a lot of limitations. We had restrictions. We couldn't sign big time players. But in this upcoming summer transfer window in 2024, it will be much different. Joan Laporta is aiming for a huge summer. And the sources continue to say that if all competitions do go as planned, if Barcelona do well and Barcelona execute all of their economical plans that they have within these next 7 to 8 months, then they would be able to execute a big time signing in the summer of 2024. But if Barcelona failed to meet those economical plans, or they couldn't go into those competitions and we couldn't be competitive, then things might change. Things might look very different. But the plan is for Barcelona to sign a big time player. And so who could be that big time player where Barcelona can spend 80 to 90 to 110 million euros on just one single signing? So we talked about Kimmich, and we have talked about how Kimmich would be a great partner to Frankie de Jong. Like, can you imagine Frankie de Jong and Kimmich forming a double pivot in Barcelona? It would be something so fascinating. You wouldn't be able to comprehend the great performances that they could put out together. The amount of control and creativity would be amazing. We also talked about maybe Kylian Mbappé joining Barcelona. I honestly don't see that really happening, but I'll talk about Kylian Mbappé in just a few minutes. We also talked about how Rodri could be a great addition to Xavi Hernandez's Barcelona and how he can reinforce the pivot position. He can play by himself. He can play as a lone pivot. He can also be in the double pivot with Frankie. And Rodri will be 28 years old by that time. Maybe he wins another Premier League with Man City, maybe another Champions League, and he might say, okay, my time here is done. I have done everything. I played so many games under Pep Guardiola. He's a very demanding coach, and I want to move elsewhere. My time is just finished, and I want to go to maybe Barcelona, because for some reason, every time a Man City player feels like they have achieved everything at their time with their club, they just end up going to Barcelona. And I can understand why that happens, and that is because Barcelona and Man City have very similar football. So we could invest in Rodri for like 100 million euros, 80 million euros, 75 million euros. We don't know. But the player that I do want to focus on, and I believe Xavi Hernandez and Deco will go for, it is going to be Rafael Leão from AC Milan. I don't think that's going to be another midfielder. I see Barcelona looking for great talents in Brazil and in Argentina and everywhere else to reinforce the pivot position. And I think that we'll be fine in that position because we're still going to have Oriol Romeo, Frankie de Jong, maybe Gundogan can go into those positions. But I think that Barcelona are really going to go for Rafael Leão. And I say that because he is one of the clients of Jorge Mendes. Jorge Mendes has a great relationship with Joan Laporta. The reason why Barcelona even achieved the signing of Joao Felix and Joao Cancelo, it was because of the relationship between Jorge Mendes and Joan Laporta. And Rafael Leão is one of his clients. And so I can really see a deal like this being struck next summer if Barcelona and Joan Laporta are really up for the task. Like, they're willing to spend huge for the player, because he will not come cheap whatsoever. If you take into account his renewal, his age, and his performances with AC Milan and what he could do in this current season, his value is only going to skyrocket. And keep in mind, we have the Euros happening next summer, and Portugal can do very well. Look at how they have Bernardo Silva, Cancelo, Joao Felix, and then you add in Rafael Leão. They're gonna have a huge Euro. And if Leão ends up being like the front face of Portugal's success, whether they end in the semifinals or in the finals, his value is only going to increase even more. So he will not come cheap, but it makes the most sense because Barcelona are missing a true definitive world-class left winger. Yes, we can say that Joao Felix can play in that position, but Joao Felix is not a true left winger. Like, yes, can he score goals? Can he provide assists? Is he creative? Yes, of course. And he's going to do phenomenal this season for us. But I just see him much more as a 10 or a second striker or as a central midfielder than anything else. I don't see him as a false left winger, and I don't even think Xavi Hernandez should continue to opt for a 4-man midfield and you have a false left winger. We need true wingers on each side. Lewandowski said those statements for a reason. He did state that he has no help. He believes that if there are more attackers in the starting 11 or in the squad, it would help help him even more. And every striker feels that way. They need true, definitive, world-class wingers on each side to bring them those crosses, to bring the ball up and progress the ball forward. Maybe Vitor Roque could experience the exact same problem, and he's going to want to see wingers on each side. And having a player like Lamine Yamal on the right and Rafael Leão on the left, you have two completely different profiles but can do the exact same thing. And what is that? That is to progress the ball forward, to be a dribbling monster. So sportingly, it makes a lot of sense. And if you compare Ansu Fati and Rafael Leão, because I think that this conversation is very important, we have to remember that Ansu Fati is on loan at Brighton. We're going to have to make a decision on whether Ansu Fati should come back or not after this season is over based off his performances. But if you compare Rafael Leão and Ansu Fati in the past calendar year, which means a year ago today, in total, they played a similar amount of games. Ansu Fati does have less minutes, and that's mainly because he has been used as a super sub or he just came off early. But overall, they play the exact same amount of games. And if you look at the stats in terms of attacking quality, Rafael Leão is just so much better compared to Ansu Fati. And it would be a massive upgrade. Look at the amount of crosses per 90 Rafael Leão has over Ansu Fati. He has 4.26 and Ansu only has like 1 cross per 90. If we look at the dribbles per 90, Rafael Leão outbodies Ansu Fati again with a total of 9.81 dribbles per 90 and Ansu only has 3.97. The completion rate on those successful dribbles, Leão is at 60% while you have Ansu Fati below 50%. When it comes to offensive duels per 90, right? What can you do in the final third? Leão does 16 offensive duels per 90. That is a lot. That is double or maybe even triple of what Ansu Fati brings per 90 minutes. And the percentage of those offensive duels being won, again, Leão has the upper edge with a total of almost 50%. When it comes to touches in the box, I can see why Ansu Fati is better. That is simply because of his movement. His off-the-ball movement is amazing. He knows exactly where to place himself to receive the ball inside the box from one of the midfielders. And so I can see why Ansu Fati is better at that. But in terms of dribbling, taking on players, those progressive runs, Leão is just that player. Just think about Abde, right? Think about what Abde brings to Barcelona, what he used to bring to Barcelona. But you just add more goals and a great eye for goal to Abde. You get Rafael Leão. And also if Abde was like 2 feet taller or something, he reaches the height of Leão also. Let's not forget, Leão is like 6 feet. A 6-foot runner who's very physical and knows how to control the ball. Barcelona needs someone like that on the left wing. Here is going to be an example on what Rafael Leão likes to do. He usually likes to like lose his marker, make a run behind the defense, go down into the box, take down about 1 to 2 more players because he has the quality to do so, and find the player inside the box. Does that not make you think about what Leão could do if you have Lewandowski inside the box and his off the ball movement? He would be able to find Lewandowski so easily. There's a reason why Lewandowski was so successful with Bayern. That's because a player like Sané was able to, or Alphonso Davies was able to find Lewandowski inside the box due to their dribbles and their take-on abilities and their crossing abilities. And it always went successfully to Lewandowski, and Lewandowski scored so many goals. We can do the same thing with Leão and Lewandowski, or if Lewandowski is not there no more, make it Leão and Vitor. This is also going to be another reason why I'm just so excited for this year's Champions League. Leão is going to be facing Dortmund, PSG, and Newcastle in the Champions League, and I would love to see what he could do against these 3 teams here, because I think that this is going to be probably his biggest test, and I do think this is going to be the time where Barcelona is really going to be analyzing what Leão can do on the biggest stage. If Barcelona's up for that task, like I've said, and they're willing to spend 90 to 110 million euros for one player, and I will explain why I'm saying 90 million to 110 million euros in just a few seconds, but for one player, it has to be Rafael Leão. The process would simply be much smoother because of the relationship. Leão currently in Serie A this season is number 1 in successful dribbles with a total of 10. He is considered in number 1 with ground duels 1 with a total of 21. He is in first place in terms of touches in the opposition's box with 28. He is in first place in terms of player of the match award with a total of 2, and he is in third place in overall rating in the Italian league. So the reason why I'm saying that Barcelona would only invest around 90 to 110 million euros for Rafael Leão is because I think that if they really want this to happen, and I really want this to happen too, I don't think that Barcelona should sign another midfielder, but if they really want this to happen, they must, right? And they must sell Ansu Fati. There's just no way I can see Xavi Hernandez saying, I want both Ansu and Leão, and Joan Laporta says, yeah, we can do that. We can bring both of them in. I just don't see that happening. I think that if Ansu Fati has a great season with Brighton, many Premier League clubs are going to want to bid for the player, and his value is going to increase. If Barcelona can sell Ansu for 90 million euros, use that money and invest it for Leão and reduce the cost of the total amount that we're supposed to pay for Leão, which is 170 million euros. I think that that is going to be his set price tag by the time this season is over. And so if he's going to be worth 170 million euros and we put that 90 million euros to that transfer, we're only going to have to pay around another 85 to 90 million euros from that deal. And Jorge Mendes can make that happen. Of course, Jorge Mendes would want want these transfers to take place, right? He is an agent. He wants the commission, and he has a great relationship with Joan Laporta, so favors are going to be made. Keep in mind, Leão only earns 4.3 million euros a season at AC Milan. Barcelona can say, we'll offer you 6 million euros a season, which is the average salary we give to our players, and that is very, very little. And the reason why I think that Leão is accepting salaries like this, even though he knows that he's performing at a high level but accepting a very low salary, is because he's a very professional footballer, a footballer that has great attitude. And that is also another reason why I think that he will be a perfect fit at Barcelona, is because he's not someone so money hungry. He's not someone that's always looking for the biggest buck and the biggest salary. He's somebody that wants to win and wants to experience European glory. Now, look, many are going to be saying, Kevin, look, if you think that Barcelona should pay a total of 175 million euros for one player, why not go for Kylian Mbappé? Why not sell Ansu Fati to Brighton or whoever is going to get Ansu Fati and get Kylian Mbappé, since he's going to be worth around the same thing? I, in my opinion, just don't think that it's going to be worth it. And I say that because his salary would be 40 million euros a season or more, and that's what he's going to be asking for. And all of his agents, everybody that he is affiliated with, has no good connections with Barcelona. So there's going to be zero favors, zero connections. PSG do not even like Barcelona. Barcelona do not like PSG. And the only way I can see this transfer going smoothly or like really happening is if like Kylian Mbappé says, I want to move to Barcelona. It's my dream move, and that is my dream team. And I don't see him saying that, and I just don't see Barcelona really going for Kylian Mbappé and spending 175 million euros and saying we'll pay you 60 million euros a season. There's no way. Barcelona would not do that. They're not willing to pay that amount of money for just one player in terms of salary. The player that makes sense, it is Leão. Leão does not care how much he gets paid, and he gets paid very little. And Barcelona can afford what Leão could be asking for in the future. He's not going to be asking for 40 million euros or 30 million euros a season. So that is going to be my rant for today, everybody. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.